Good morning, everyone. On behalf of the museum, thank you for joining us today virtually for At First Light. We have held this event on National Indigenous Peoples Day for 5 years. This is our second year holding the event in a virtual capacity due to the pandemic. We are hopeful that we're able to host this event in person again in the future. We wanted to begin by acknowledging that we are meeting on Indigenous land, on traditional land that has been inhabited by Indigenous peoples from the beginning. As settlers, we're grateful for the opportunity to be here, and we thank all the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. Long before today, there have been Indigenous peoples who have been the stewards of this place. In particular, we acknowledge the Neutral, the Anishinaabe, and the Haudenosaunee peoples. We are committed to elevating Indigenous voices through our programming and events. So I am happy to now introduce Kelly Fran Davis and her son Corey, who will be leading the event for the remainder of the program. So thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I am Kelly Fran Davis. My Ongwe home name is Theo Tando, and thank you for joining us this morning. So we're leading this virtual sunrise ceremony, and we just have a fire going that Corey got started for us. But this is a Haudenosaunee practice, is to acknowledge all of creation and to give thanks for everything that we have. So in my language, I'm going to start with a small prayer, and then I'll reiterate in English. So now we'll go some guaidiso, some guautanyo, so in my languages, in Cuba, I started out by saying, thank you very much, Creator, for giving us things to be thankful for. And then I acknowledge people in the Mohawk language. And I talked about people in our lives, all the people in our lives that impact our lives in great ways and sometimes in challenging ways. Because we're to acknowledge everybody, because without those challenging times in our lives, we wouldn't learn and we wouldn't grow. So we're to acknowledge those people that impact our lives in those ways as well. And in our languages, we have very active words. Our words are verb-based, they're not noun-based. So when we talk about, people and it's what they do for us, it's about our relationship with people and how we interact with people. So when their speakers are acknowledging people, they talk about, the love that we get from people. They talk about the, fun times we have with our loved ones. They talk about we're giving thanks for all of those great things of our relationships with people. And like I said, sometimes we have people in our lives that create challenges for us in our life, and we're to acknowledge them, because sometimes people will do things that are not very nice, and we have to learn how to handle those things in our lives. And sometimes it makes us learn and grow in different ways that we weren't always aware of, that we could do those things, or we could be able to respond. So then our speaker will say, now our minds are one. After acknowledging people and everything he wants to acknowledge about people, he'll say, now our minds are one. And that now our minds are one is a teaching about, bringing all of our minds to a place of gratitude. We're giving thanks, we're acknowledging, and we're thankful, we're optimistic, that things will work out. So when the speaker says, now our minds are one, we're told that our minds are being lifted higher. And we're to let go of worry, of, responsibilities, or thinking about all these things else we have to do. Because in this moment, we need to acknowledge the words that the speaker has given us. So then he'll go on to talk about Mother Earth. And he'll talk about all the wonderful things that you know, we have to be thankful for Mother Earth. He'll talk about, you know, how all of our foods come from Mother Earth. Everything comes from Mother Earth. And he'll talk about different things about Mother Earth. And I keep saying he'll talk because in our ceremonies in the Longhouse, it's the men that deliver these speeches. And we're taught it's their responsibility to deliver those speeches. And the women are the ones that, you know, hold up the space and have a nurturing, loving presence to support the men as they conduct the ceremonies, as they deliver speeches. So then at the end of acknowledging the different things from Mother Earth, the speaker is going to say, now our minds are one. And again, that's our opportunity to put everything aside and to be grateful and be thankful that we have Mother Earth. And then he'll go on to the next thing, and usually he'll work his way from the ground up to the sky. So, and underground. So then he may talk about the plants, you know, the plants that are there for different medicine or there for, you know, to bring beauty in our lives sometimes, the flowers. He'll talk about the plants that give us food, give us sustenance, and he'll give thanks for all of those things. He'll talk about, you know, some of the other plants that provide, you know, a good environment for the bees and for all the insects and whatnot. And then he'll say, now our minds are one. And again, it's that time that we, you know, acknowledge that we have so much to be thankful for. And we just put all of our worries and responsibilities aside for this moment and bring our minds together in a good way. And then he'll talk about things like the trees. And he can go on and on about the different things that the trees do for us. Talk about the shelter that we give small creatures, you know, or how they provide us shade, or some trees provide us food, fruit. He'll talk about maybe how the trees, you know, will provide wood for us so we can have fires to cook our food, you know, so we can have fire to build our homes and to build the furniture and the things that we need. And you may talk about, you know, how the trees, you know, provide entertainment sometimes for us human beings or our small creatures, our young people, and how they'll, you know, sometimes take refuge in the trees, or maybe they'll climb and have fun. But yeah, so then he'll move on and he'll talk about things, other things in creation, such as, oh, there's birds. Talk about the birds. Nice big robin come to find her morning worm. But yeah, he'll acknowledge the birds and talk about all the things that the birds do for us. Some birds provide us food. Some birds we use their feathers to make our used to make part of our traditional clothing sometimes, or fans, pillows, they use them for all kinds of things. But the other most important thing, like people had said this morning, she heard birds sing as soon as she woke up. And that's a big part of hearing their songs first thing in the morning. It's a good reminder to say they're happy, they're giving their thanks to Creator as well, you know, with those nice morning songs. And then the speaker will say, now our minds are one. And it'll be so thankful, you know, it'll make us feel better. We brighten up more as the speaker goes through different things in creation. And then he might move into talking about, you know, the waters, right? We had a great storm. We had some great storms here last night. We're broadcasting Niagara and Lake Erie. And yeah, so you may talk about the different things that waters provide us, you know, how the waters provide nourishment for everything, for us, for all the animals, for all the plants, for everything in creation. And They'll talk about how the waters, you know, help cleanse our bodies and cleanse our homes and cleanse, you know, everything that we need to use to cook our food, keep our families healthy, keep our environment clean. Okay. You may talk about how, you know, the waters provide entertainment. You know, it's summertime. Today's first day of summer, summer solstice, and you know everybody's going to be out on the water, swimming or boating or canoeing, kayaking, all those things, enjoying the refreshing water, you know, all the sports, but also about the fish that are in the water, how they provide sustenance to us, and how you know they cleanse the water, how you know there's different creatures and fish in the water that we can eat to sustain us. So at the end of that, he'll say, now our minds are one. And again, lifting our minds to a higher place and lifting our minds to, you know, always be appreciative, thankful. And so then he'll go on and he'll talk about other things in creation. He'll talk about the winds, maybe. You talk about how the winds bring the weather, how the winds, you know, clean the earth. They sweep the earth and move the leaves and the debris around. He'll talk about the winds coming, which is sometimes, you know, calm us down, relax us. When it's really windy out, a lot of people will take cover. You know, they may stay in the house or, you know, they just kind of relax and calm down a bit. So then he'll say, now our minds are one. And again, lifting our minds to a place of divinity. Then he may go on and talk about the sun and all that the sun provides us. The warmth that it gives us, vitamin D to help us be happy. You know, that's why the flowers are so bright and the leaves are turned up. They're absorbing all that vitamin D. We could talk about how the sun, you know, brings us light and how it brings the new day. You know, Tom Porter used to say, when you wake up in the morning and the sun's shining, it's like our eldest brothers. That's what they call the sun. The older guys, the older people, they say that's our eldest brother. And they say when he wakes up in the morning, all his sun rays are out, reaching everything in creation, reaching all of every blade of grass. And it's like the fingers, the rays of the sun is like our eldest brother's fingers. And he's reaching out and he's embracing and hugging everybody and everything in creation and saying, good morning, it's a new day. As like Tom Porter's story. So anyways, then he'll say, now our minds are one. And again, giving us that, you know, that assurance that we have so much to be thankful for, always, always. You know, just to sit and think about all the different things that the sun provides you. We have so much to be grateful for. So then he may turn our attention to he'll turn our minds to sorry, a little smoky. He'll turn our minds to, you know, the stars and the moon and the night sky. He'll talk about all the wonderful things that happen with the night sky. All the stars and the moon provides us light so we can navigate ourselves in the nighttime. Talk about the constellations and how they provide different things for us as human beings. We were told a lot of stories throughout my growing up about the stars. We used to lay out on the grass and lay out and just appreciate the stars. thought that that's the time to communicate with our loved ones that have passed. So I was 5 years old when my grandmother passed. And so when we would lay out at night and look up at the stars, I would pick which star was my grandma. And it was always the brightest. And my aunt would say, so what do you want to tell grandma? And I remember doing this throughout my life. And through different stages of my life. And I would just talk to my grandma and just tell her what we've been up to and how my mom is. That was my mom's mom. And just different things, you know. And so then our speaker will talk about, you know, how Grandmother Moon, you know, moves the tides in the ocean, and how Grandmother helps us to know when our babies will be born. She will determine that. We talk about the energy of the moon. Like I said, the moon moves the tides of the ocean. And so we're taught that it's the same thing for us human beings, because we have, you know, like 80% water in our bodies. And if the moon's energy can move the ocean, water, and make tides, just imagine what it does to us as human beings and all the water in our body. That's why there's different things that happen, they say, around the moon, you know. As the phases of the moon changes, different things change. People change, people's moods change, you know. So we're always taught that at the new moon is the time to celebrate and start new things, you know, to start those new projects. Or maybe that's the time that after that new moon is when we plant our seeds in our gardens, because that's the time when the energy is growing with the moon. The moon's energy is growing. So that's the time that we can even cut our hair, because we'll have that same effect as the moon. And then the speaker again will say, now our minds are one. And we're again to acknowledge and appreciate all that we have, you know, and to bring our minds to a place. It makes us so much happier, it makes us sit up straighter, it makes us smile bigger, to know that we have so much going on for us all the time that's working to bring our minds, to bring our minds to a place of safety. You know, we feel so secure and we feel so good knowing that all of this stuff is constantly working for our well-being. So then, you know, we're taught as Haudenosaunee people that we're to acknowledge the heaven dwellers, you know, the people, the spirits that guide us, the spirits that provide, you know, our faith and our beliefs and things. So I'm just looking around, there's birds flying around, bugs flying around. But anyways, yeah, we're to acknowledge those heaven dwellers that provide us the guidance in our lives, you know. Yeah, and we're to give thanks for that unknown, you know, the unknown of our lives. You know, sometimes we're taught that, you know, as we get those random thoughts, you know, or as our attention goes to somebody that's passed, or our attention goes to, you know, in our minds, sometimes we get thoughts of what it was like a long time ago, things like that. That that those are heaven dwellers helping us, our ancestors, our loved ones in the past, and we're to give thanks for that, you know, because it provides guidance and faith. It provides a lot of things in our lives. So then the speaker will say, now our minds are one. Again, it's to acknowledge all of the things that we have to be thankful for, to bring our minds to that place of gratitude and appreciation, and to put all our worries aside. Again, just, you know, be in the moment and be thankful that we have those things to be thankful for, as I said at the beginning. So then the speaker will go on and talk about, you know, the creator or that higher power, whatever we acknowledge the higher power is. And you will talk about how, you know, the Creator has created all of this, everything in the world, all the waters, all the minerals, all the plants, the birds, the animals, everything was created. And then we were created. As human beings were created last, we thought. And so when we think about Creator and all of his creation, what we were taught is that, you know, is that we were created to enjoy everything. You know, in our creation story, we're taught that everything was created, and then Creator decided I need another being to enjoy everything, because everything else in creation works to sustain creation, you know? So as human beings, I was taught we're the most pitiful of all the families of the world. There's 4 families in the world. There's the animal kingdom, the mineral life, the plant life, and us human beings, the human race. And we are the most pitiful because of all the 4 families, we are the only ones that rely on the other 2 families in order to survive. So, yeah, so we were taught, that's how I was taught about Creator and creation and human beings being put here. And so when we talk about Creator, we give thanks for all of that. And we give thanks that, you know, that we have everything, you know. And when we start our day in that way, it brings us to a place of so much happiness and so much appreciation, because everything in creation is created here, and it's a perfect system. And that's us human beings, all we have to do is give our thanks and show our appreciation. So then the speaker will say at the end, you know, he'll say, if there's anything that I forgot to talk about, I'm going to leave it up to each individual here to give their thanks and appreciation to anything that I may have forgot to mention this morning. And this prayer is a really long prayer. It can be really long. I heard a gentleman say it for like 90 minutes in Longhouse ceremonies. And this prayer starts off our ceremonies, starts off our meetings where we have to make decisions, even starts off our celebration. And it's called the Haudenosaunee. And the literal translation of that means the words that come before all else. And the reason why we have those words come before all else is so that we all come to that good mind, that appreciation, that thankfulness, and to know that we have so much happening around us for our well-being. And that brings us great joy. And they say when we all bring our minds together in that way, you know, good things will happen. You know, if you have a nice talk, somebody does a talk and talks about all these things before you have a birthday party, you know, and everybody's there and they're like, yeah, we're so happy, we're so thankful, you know, then everybody's in that state of mind that's going to bring a lot of good things. So I'm just going to offer a little tobacco, because today when we use our tobacco on the fire, our prayers go straight to Creator. So my prayers this morning are just about gratitude, you know, and that's how we should start our day. That's how I'm taught to pray, is always to be thankful, never to really ask for anything. You know, be thankful that we're living the life we're living. Be thankful that we have all of creation to provide for us and to sustain us. So I was going to say, now go invite you and go always know. And again, that means thank you very much, Creator, for giving us things to be thankful for. I'm going to tell you a little bit of, I don't know how much more time we have. I feel like I've been talking a long time, but I just want to share a little bit about our creation story and about Sky Woman. And then I'm going to ask Corey to sing what we call a Sonian Dynasty. It's the New Woman Shuffle Dance, but I'll get to that in a moment. So in our creation story, what happened is Sky Woman, she was pregnant, and her husband was responsible for this very sacred tree. Nobody was to touch his tree. Nobody was to take the bark from the tree. Nobody was to touch the fruit or the leaves. And this tree was to remain sacred. Well, Sky Woman, his wife, was pregnant, and she had these cravings. So she went ahead and, sampled some of the fruit, and took some of the leaves and bark. And when she did that, the tree fell over and it uprooted, and it left a giant hole in the earth. And so Sky Woman, she was very curious if she could hear something down there, but she couldn't see anything because it was so dark. And as she's looking in this hole, she's leaning over and she's listening, and she's trying to look down there and she can't see anything. She could just hear something, like this rumble. So she's looking, and she eventually falls into this hole. And when she falls into this hole, she tries to break her fall, and she grabs onto the sides of the earth. And when she does that, she grabs these plants, and she still falls. And she's fallen through the sky, and she's pulled in these plants. And we're taught that she had like the white corn plant, she had strawberry plants, and she had our Indian tobacco plant. And when she fell through the hole and she was falling, she was scared, and she was crying, and she was screaming. And way down below, there was these massive birds. And these birds could see this being falling from the sky. And they said, we have to help this being because it's falling, crying and screaming. And so they waited. They had to wait for a while before she fell further, because they couldn't fly that high. They couldn't reach her. So they had to wait. And when she got down far enough, those birds came together, brought their wings together, and they caught her on their wings. And they were flying around with her for a bit. They noticed she didn't have a fin. And they noticed she didn't have any fins. And all that was below them was water. So they were flying around with this being, with the Sky Woman, and they're wondering what they're going to do with her. So they seen a turtle in the water, come up by the surface of the water. So they yelled down to the turtle and said, can you put this being on your back? She has no fins, she has no wings. And so the turtle agreed. And when she was on the back of the turtle, she had her plants. She was very upset. She was pregnant, and the turtle said to her, what can I do to help you? And she said, well, I have these plants and I have to plant them. I need dirt. I have to create an environment for my baby that's coming. So then, so the turtle started to ask various creatures in the water if they could go to the bottom of the water and get some dirt. So they got some dirt. There was different creatures that went to the bottom of the water, got dirt, but they didn't make it back to the surface because it was such a long journey and they cared. So then they say eventually there was a little otter, or some say it was muskrat, that made it all the way down to the bottom and got a handful of dirt and came up to the top where the turtle was and placed the dirt on the turtle's back. And just as he did that, he perished. So all that she had was this one pile of dirt, a little pile of dirt. And so she started to pray to her home king. And she started to pray to her father and her mother and her husband who were in the sky world. And she started to ask them to help her to, have enough dirt to plant the plant so she can grow in an environment for her baby. And so what happened is, as she was spreading the dirt around, she had to use her feet only because her hands were full of her plants and she didn't want to let go of them. So what she did was she used her feet and she shuffled her feet around the dirt. She used the dirt or spread the dirt as thin as she could. And she went in a counterclockwise motion around the turtle. And she spread the dirt as far as she could. And it was very thin at first because it was just a handful of dirt. But then eventually, as she was praying and dancing, the dirt started to grow. It got denser and it started to spread out further to the point where she was able to plant the plant. And what happened is she had these plants had grown, and then because of the dirt that comes from the bottom of the water, there was other plants that grew as well. So eventually there was creation. We say creation started to grow, and it was the Father that helped her to have everything in the environment. So Corey's gonna sing us a song, and it's called the Sonian Dynasty in our language. In English, it's called New Woman Shuffle Dance, and it mimics, or it's a song to honor women, and because women are life givers, you know, just the same as Sky Woman, they brought life to the earth. And so he's gonna sing this song in honor of Mother Earth and all of creation, and to, you know, have that beautiful way to begin our day and give our thanks. So we're gonna let Corey. So this concludes our sunrise ceremony here out where we're at in Niagara. And again, my name is Kelly Fran Davis. I'm Haudenosaunee from the Six Nations of the Grand River Territory. My oldest son, Corey's joined us this morning to provide us a nice fire, keep us warm, a little chilly in the morning. And, you know, to be able to put our tobacco in there, to send our prayers to Symbiote Detail or Creator, to say that we're very thankful and that we have so much to be thankful for. So in my language, again, I want to say, now Goa, Symbiote Detail, Symbiote Detail. So again, that means thank you so much, Creator, for giving us things to be thankful for. And welcome to the Summer Solstice 2021 virtual sunrise ceremony with the Museum of Kitchener. And thank you all for joining us.
Thank you again, Kelly and Corey. That was really great. And thank you again, everyone that joined us this morning. Have a great day.